Guys, thank you so much for coming out this evening and taking the time out of your day to take a look at the right way to run your business. This is Team Explosion, and my name is Dusty Devone, and I do appreciate your time. So we're going to hop right into the training tonight because I got some things a lot of people have been asking me about how to really do this right. So I'm going to go through start to finish exactly what we teach to do in this business. So let me just go ahead and knock one myth out of here, because this is absolutely crucial. The step-by-step business model is just a myth. It doesn't really exist because there is no exact method of success. I wish there was. I wish I had some magic formula that would just go and make every single one of you six figures, but it just doesn't exist. But I'm going to give you tonight the closest blueprint that you can ever think about of how to run this business model from start to finish. And there won't be any, if you have questions when you leave here, I'm not sure where to go with them. But if you do, get with me and let's get them answered so we can get your businesses moving. This team is exploding. We're the fastest growing team inside of this company. Let me repeat that again, the fastest growing team in this company at the time this is being recorded. So on to the next one, expectations. Set a plan and stick with it, because I want to make sure that we set realistic expectations for you guys. So I want you to think about a few of these questions as I run through them, because these are critical. And we want to set, as leaders in this organization, we want to set realistic expectations for you so we know exactly how to lay out a plan that fits each and every one of you. And you're going to see about the plan on the end of this webinar and how we're going to implement this into our entire team after we go through the flow chart. So I want you to think about these things. How much money would it take monthly to make it worth your time? And I want you to jot that number down. I want you to jot that number down. I want you to jot down how many hours a week that you would be willing to put in to make that number happen. How many hours a week would you be willing to put in to make that number happen? How many months will you dedicate to run to that income? How many months are you willing to dedicate to get to that income amount using those hours? So in that amount of time. So I want you to think about these questions as we're going through tonight and doing this training. So here's the way the flow chart works, and I'm going to break I know it looks really confusing. There's stuff all over the place, but I'm going to break this chart down completely in the coming slides. So don't freak out and try to get notes and nothing like that right here, because this is just the basic flow chart of the way we get people involved in our business. So understand, our primary business is selling travel. That's our primary business. We have access to every vendor on the planet that accepts the IATA number, which is the most recognized number in travel. We can book travel vendor direct for our customers and clients and earn a commission. So that is number one. So I want to get that out of the way. So we're going to talk tonight about the invitation process. We're going to talk tonight about the follow-up processes. How to expose people, how to get them exposed the right way, how to get them into a three-way call. And not only that, we're going to teach you how to do three-way calls, because I believe in teaching skills and habits, as we've been talking about in our Facebook family for the last few days. I believe in teaching these skills and habits so that one day you are the leader that you want to be. So let's get right into it. So understand, there's always going to be a situation to where you follow up. At follow-up one, when you ask these two questions that we're going to talk about, if they're a 1 or a 2, we're going to kick them out. If they're a 5 or less after exposure 2, we're going to kick them out. Okay? So I'm going to get into this thing. So the invitation process. So there's a couple of ways to invite. But I did a video today. If you guys were able to watch it, I actually got to do a video today, a good lengthy video, about 4.5 minutes, which is one of my longer videos as far as training goes. I got to do a video, and if you're watching the recording, don't worry, you don't have to go run to my Facebook and try to hunt it down, because I'm about to go through exactly what the video talked about. So many people will call you with a business opportunity, or they'll call you with whatever they're doing, and they'll just puke right on you. Oh my goodness, I found this business. We're going to make millions of dollars. It's in travel. It's an $8 trillion a year industry, and oh my goodness, we're going to get rich. And people just run like crazy. Now, maybe you're not that exaggerate. Maybe you call them and say, listen, I got this business opportunity for you, and I need you to take a look at it. I'm doing really good in it. I'm just getting started, and I just want to position the right people. That's just too much. That's not what we're going to teach here. we're going to talk about a good simplified invitation process. My favorite invitation process is to share your story. You know, I was on the phone with a guy this morning that was a forklift driver in a warehouse down in Florida, and so he asked me, he said, what would be an example of my story? And I said, well, okay, he joined the business 4 weeks ago. He hasn't done anything in the business, by the way, nothing at all. He struggled to this point, but he put his first person in today. We started masterminding and game planning. And I said, this would be a good story that I would start with. 4 weeks ago, when you're talking to a prospect, 4 weeks ago, I was showing up at my job from 9 to 5 and sometimes even working overtime. I wasn't making near what I was worth, and there was no end in sight, no hope. And then I ran across this, you're going to laugh, this little 5-minute video. And now I have that hope again because I can see light at the end of the tunnel. Now, maybe it fits you and maybe it doesn't, but here's the video link. You know, I thought of you. Take a look at it, and I'll follow back up with you in 24 hours. That's his story. Do you see how this story led him to the invitation process of getting him to the first exposure of our business? Now, your story is going to be different. So if you need to mastermind with your upline, talk about what your story could be. But that's just an example of a story. So we're going to talk a little about the next invitation process. We have scripts that you can download. You cannot mess this up. We have blank worksheets that you can literally fill in exactly what you want to say before you use your prospect. My wife has been using these for the last 2 days. You got to remember, my wife's not the networker of the family. She's always watched, but she's never even listened to what I said. So when we went out last week with my mentor, he said, all you have to do is take this script. And guys, she's getting people into watching these presentations all day yesterday and all day today, getting them into the funnel successfully, and she's following up the way she's supposed to do. She's running the system exactly like I'm teaching you right now. So she's a newbie network marketer. No matter how much you think that's not possible, she's been a very supporting cast for the last 5 years as I've worked from home full time. You know, but now she's wanting to get involved. I've asked her to get involved. So she's doing her own thing. She stays away from me because I'm a little tough on her. That's why she's never really gotten involved, is because she was always worried that I would be really hard on her and try to force her to do things my way. Well, my way doesn't fit her. My way probably doesn't fit you, but this is the invitation process. So you'll have a blank worksheet that you'll actually be able to download from the Files tab. As soon as I get off of this, I'm going to put this in the Files tab of our Facebook group. So that's where these invitations will be there, along with the scripts of exactly what to say and how to say it. Okay, so here's an example. And this is an example of the indirect approach. So let me find one that's the direct approach real quick. Let me see if I got one right here. Okay, so here's the direct approach. You get them on the phone, ring, ring. Hey, I don't have a lot of time to talk, but it was really important that I reach you. Listen, you're one of the most financially intelligent people that I know, and I've always respected that about you. When you told me you really didn't like your job, were you serious or were you just kidding yourself? Great. I think I found a way for you to create an exit strategy without jeopardizing your family or your time. And I have this little 5-minute video that I'd like you to take a look at, and it describes exactly what I'm talking about a lot better than I can. So if I send this link over to you, would you take the time to watch it? Yes. When do you think you could watch it for me? Well, I can watch it in 10 minutes. Great. So how about I follow up with you in about 15 to 20 minutes, and I just want to ask you 2 simple questions after that. Is that fair enough? Sure. Well, I got to run because I need a couple of more opinions also, and I'll give you a call in 20 minutes. I look forward to it. So that's the way to go at the direct approach. And remember, these scripts, there's tons of scripts. This is just one that was pre-filled out, and you guys will see all of this in the download. And remember, our first exposure is www.secrettravelvideo.com, and scripts will be available in the Files tab of the Facebook group. So here's an example of the indirect approach. Hey, I'm running out the door, but I need to talk to you real quick. You've always been really supportive of me, and I appreciate that so much. And I've just started a new business, and listen to me, I'm scared to death. Before I get going, I need to practice on some people. Would you mind me practicing on you? Great. So I'm about to shoot you over a link. Can you take a look at it for me real quick? Yes. Can you look at it in the next 10 minutes? Yes. Great. I'll call you back in 15 minutes. That way I can practice on you. Is that fair enough? Fair enough. Now, maybe they can't look at it in 10 or 15 minutes, so a lot of these things will need to be adjusted according to the person, but don't worry, the script process does it all for you. It shows you exactly how to change it up. So here's to, let's see, that was one indirect approach. Let's do a super indirect approach. Let me get back here. I already know, whoop. I don't have a super indirect approach in here, but I will do a super indirect approach for you because I have that one memorized. It's one of my favorites to use. You know, hey, John, this may or may not be for you. I'm not really sure. I doubt it is, but I'm looking for some people who are strongly motivated and are looking to, you know, help us change some lives. Now, I don't think this would be you, but could you refer me over a few people that it could be? Because all I need them to do is take a look at a 5-minute video for me, and they need to answer 2 questions. That's the super indirect approach. And sometimes you'll get people say, yeah, you know, I'll refer you over some people, and they don't even see it coming. But that's okay, because then you just got some referrals. So then you can actually call these referrals and say, hey, John referred me over to you and said that you were somebody that was highly motivated and that you may have some referrals for me. We're looking for some people who are strongly motivated and want to help us change some lives, and all they have to do is watch a 5-minute video and answer 2 questions. So that's the super indirect approach and a way to use it. So remember, secrettravelvideo.com is our first exposure tool. After you get them back on the phone, here's your follow-up. This is not rocket science. This is hammer down to the point, okay? So you ask them, what do you like best? Well, I love to travel. You know, I love that this is in the travel industry. Travel's fun. Great. I felt the same way. So on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being the least interested and 10 being the most interested, where do you stand at this point? So here's where you go from here. There's 3 places you can go. If 2 or less, set a follow-up time in 90 days. So if they say, well, I'm just a 2, you know, I don't know how much I see in this. Well, that's great. So is it okay if I put you on a follow-up list to follow up with you in 90 days, you know, or just say 90 days, 3 months, and we'll just see if your position has changed. Is that fair enough? So that's for the 2 or less. So what this does is it puts them in the follow-up, and then you're going to notate this in a calendar somewhere to where you know to follow up with them, because people's situations change every single day. Every day they change. So you don't want to just walk away from a prospect and then you call them back 90 days later and you say, hey, remember 3 months ago when I showed you that little 5-minute video? And I told you I'd give you a call in 90 days to see if anything's changed? Then they know, because they told you it was okay to call them back. If there are 3 to 8, we're going to get them to exposure number 2. So if they answer on a scale from 1 to 10, where do you stand? And they say, well, I'm about a 5 because this looks actually exciting. Well, great. What can I do to help you get to a 10? More than likely, they're going to say, I need a little more information. You know, that video was quick and fast, but looked awesome, but I need some more information. Say, great. I don't want to try to explain it to you because I'm new in the business. So I'm going to send you over another video. It's 26 minutes long. Can you take a look at that in the next hour or so for me, and I'll call you back in an hour. You set the follow-up in that call. Okay, so they know already you're going to be calling them back within an hour. If they can't watch it within an hour, no problem. Can you watch it later this evening, and I'll call you back after that, after 9 o'clock, you know, whatever time zone they're in. Just whatever you do, set the follow-up there and get them to exposure 2. An 8+, which I've already had one of these today, an 8+, guys, you just go ahead and get them to the close or the 3-way, and we'll talk about that in a minute, and I'll show you exactly how that process works also. But for now, we're going to go on to the second exposure as if they're a 3 to 8. So the second exposure is www.secrettravelpresentation.com. And that's our 26-minute full detail pre-recorded webinar. There are alternative second exposures, whether you may want to do a home meeting for some reason. Now, we run our business from home. We don't do home meetings in our home. You know, we did previously in other companies, but it's just not necessary here. But if you want to have some people over and invite them over, like last night I thought about playing a trick on people, just invite them over for my birthday party and tell them instead of a present, I just want to be enrolled in this company and help me go out and find some people. But I didn't do that. So home meetings are fun, and they really fit into a lot of people that really like them. Second would be a hotel meeting this Saturday in Atlanta. On, you know, the following after that, you know, there's meetings all over the country all the time. Keep an eye on your emails and stuff for updates, but take them to a hotel meeting with you. It'll be exciting for them to see a bunch of like-minded individuals, and then they feel left out. So a hotel meeting, I support hotel meetings. I love them. I love the way they build. I love people that build through them. And then there's always, we got our team opportunity webinar that we do on Thursday nights at 9:30 Eastern time. So the live team webinar or the team conference calls. You get emails every day talking about biz opportunity calls that our company puts those on Monday through Thursday. So keep an eye on those. So those are good alternatives to the second exposure. So once they're exposed the second time, you follow back up when you told them that you would follow back up, because you've already set the follow-up time to get them into exposure too. It's not rocket science. So after you saw that, what do you like best? Wow, there's some money that can be made in this thing. Exactly. That's why I'm looking at it. So now on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being the least interested and 10 being the most interested, where do you stand? So if they answer 4 or less after this process, go ahead and put them in the 90-day follow-up. Maybe this isn't the right time for you, so how about I follow back up with you in 90 days, and we'll just see where you stand at that point. Is that fair enough? Always end with a question. Is that fair enough? A direct question that requires a one-word answer. And they say yes. Say, great, I'm going to put you on my calendar, but I got to run now because I got some other people I got to follow up with. Always be in a hurry. Don't be begging and pleading, oh, please look at this, or oh, please join my business. That don't work. People aren't attracted to that. They will not do that. You have to have strong posture. But if they're a 5+, move them on to the next process, which is the 3-way with your upline or the closing process. So let's talk a little bit about the close of the 3-way. So you may choose to close your people on your own. And trust me, guys, our number one goal is to teach you the habits and skills of becoming a networking professional. And the art of the close is one of my favorite parts, and this is the most simple close on the planet. If you guys have done 3 ways with me the last couple of days, you will know because you've seen me ask these exact same questions. So if you're doing a 3-way, I'm going to do the 3-way first. You edify your upline and you hush. So if I was going to edify someone, for instance, I want to touch on 4 topics. So let's say I was going to edify my wife. Now, my wife's never made big money in this industry. My wife's, matter of fact, I mean, she's been supportive, but she's not exactly what I would call the businesswoman. But listen to how I talk about her. So let me tell you a little something about Amanda. So this is me edifying her. Let me tell you a little something about Amanda. The one thing I can tell you about Amanda is that she has been doing this business and she knows all the facts. This girl is so much fun to be around. She's making money. And most importantly, she loves to help people. So Amanda, take it over, girl. That's how I would edify her. And then you just hush. You don't interrupt. You hush your mouth and you sit back and you let the expert, or who you've put on the phone to be the expert, you let that person take the call over, because they're going to do exactly this right here. This is the most duplicatable thing you'll ever see, and this is why we're all going to get stupid rich, because we're going to be able to duplicate things that no one else is able to duplicate. You've already asked them the first 2 questions of the 6-question close. So that person that's on the phone with them is going to ask them a simple question. It says, listen, on a scale from 1 to 10, where do you stand right now? And they're going to, whatever they told the previous person, they're going to obviously repeat that. So they're a 7. And that person's going to say, well, listen, let me ask you a couple of simple questions. What kind of monthly income would you be looking from your vacation business to make it worth your time? What kind of income? They're going to give you a number. Let's say that number is $2,500 a month. How many hours a week would you be willing to commit to achieving that $2,500 a month? Well, I work full time, but I think I could do, 1 to 2 hours a day. So let's say 7 hours a week. Okay, 7 hours a week it is. And how many months are you willing to put in to achieve the $2,500 a month using 7 hours a week? Notice how I inserted those numbers into this question. There's a reason. It's psychological. They know that I'm following along. And the whole time as the 3-way close, you're writing this down, by the way. And they say, well, I'd be willing to give 6 months, to get to that $2,500 a month. Okay, great. So if I could show you a plan to where I could show you how to use 7 hours of your week over the next 6 months to get you to that $2,500 a month mark, would you be willing to get started today? Why, absolutely I would. You just walked them downhill the whole time. And anybody Anybody can do this. You don't have to be a network marketing stud that's made 7 figures or 6 figures in our industry. This right here is simple, and it's duplicatable. And we're going to teach you dependence because, guys, this is doable for you. You have the ability to become a professional. Just by you being on this training right now shows me that you want to be a professional. So you have the option to either 3-way or close yourself, whatever you feel comfortable with. And after enough 3-ways, you're going to say, hey, I can do this. And then you're going to be doing 3-ways for your team. This is simple. This is simple. So the next thing I want you guys to do, and you probably have not been through this. If you've heard from me the last couple of days, you may have heard me talk about this. But I want you to set up a game plan interview with either your sponsor or your upline executive or both. Because all the leaders tonight are going to be getting these game plan interviews. The executive and above will be getting this interview, and you will be able to go through with them, and they will be able to lay out a strategic plan to get you where you need to be. Because everybody's different. One person may have 7 hours a week, and if you want to know how to use that 7 hours, we have a plan for it. One may be 5 hours a week. One may be 40 hours a week. Maybe they're unemployed looking for that win. Whatever it may be, we have a plan for you to show you how to take it and put immediate action with it. All you have to do is take action on the plan. We can lay it out step by step to fit you and your needs. So in your game plan interview, remember I told you to think about those 3 questions. I want you to think about how much money that you need to be making here to make it worth your time. I want you to be thinking about exactly how many hours you're going to commit. Understand that word commit. So what you can commit. So say somebody says, I can commit 2 hours. I would tell them, great. Here's the way we're going to use that 2 hours a day. 25% of your time is going to be in personal development. I suggest you start with Eric Worre's book called Go Pro. And then we're going to, that's just 30 minutes of your day. The rest of the 75% of your day in this 2 hours a day is going to be committed to income-producing activities. Understand, income-producing activities. So these 2 hours are going to be hard work for you. 30 minutes of growing yourself and becoming a better you and a better leader, because that's who people want to be in business with. And the next hour and a half, for the next 30 minutes and 1 hour segments, you're going to do income-producing activities. So if it was a 2-hour person, I would say this. I would say, I want you to prospect 4 people a day with the invitation process and start putting people into the flow of things. Prospect 4 a day, 5 days a week. That's 20 prospects. That's 80 prospects in a month. Because our first goal is to get you to break even. Okay? The next hour, so we've spent 30 minutes in personal development, 30 minutes in prospecting, because you're not saying much in the prospecting part. There's not much to be said because you're saying things quickly to move to the next one. So in the next 1 hour, you're going to be following up on those prospects. So you got 30 minutes of personal development, you got 30 minutes of prospecting, and you got 1 hour of following up with people. You've now scheduled 2 hours of your time to grow your income, guys, to the 6 and 7 figure mark if you just stick to the plan. And guess what? If you say, wow, these 2 hours are doing this, this, and this, you may want to take it to 4 hours. You may want to increase and say, I'm not going to talk to 4 people in 30 minutes. I'm going to talk to 8 because I want to double my results. All of these things can be scaled up, and that's why each individual game plan needs to be done with each person. So tonight I want you to set up an appointment. Don't expect your sponsor to drop what they're doing. Don't expect your upline executive or upline regional or national. Don't expect them to drop what they're doing. Have enough respect for them to call them and say, I'd like to set up my game plan interview appointment. Call them, text them, Facebook message them, whatever you have to do. Have enough respect for them to just set up your game plan interview, because this is for you guys. It's not for us. It's for you. You have the opportunity to take action right now. Become a part of something great. This company is fixing to hit massive momentum. Massive momentum. And you guys are sitting at the helm of it with an opportunity to be with something great.